That's like when I was a kid, it was a yellow sun. Everything I drew
Super.
was yellow, sometimes orange and red in it, and now
And,
it's
and
always
now it's very white. And I've kind of observed this, and Jay Weidner has kind of confirmed this in some of his podcasts. Johnny, other friends of mine as well. It's just like we're noticing that the sun is it's a different color than I grew up
I agree.
around. And
Yeah, I agree with that.
is that my eyesight changing? I don't think so. I don't think so.
We could just all be remembering it wrong, I guess. But do you think that maybe like the artificial clouds and stuff that you've been spraying have something to do with? Maybe it could change the color.
That's a good. Thank you. That's actually a really good possibility there, Shem. That's
definitely
wow.
could be a part of it.
Thank you. Wow.
Yes. Also, could be them trying
very
to
much so
up as well, right? Trying to add color back into it. Why there's always forest fires and stuff, making it orange and red again, trying to make it look yellow.
And then you have this BG character. We all know who he is. Buying up farm property and whatnot. He wants to put gold particles in the atmosphere to block out the sun or charge or create a electromagnetic charge from the sun, one of the two. And that's kind of weird because isn't that the entire premise of Highlander 2? It's like, wait, what?
I've
never ever seen Highlander 2. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
I'm kidding.
Why is Mr. Gates trying to inject gold particles into our atmosphere?
He's a huge fan.
This also comes out of legit or not. I can't think of the guy's name. The guy that translated the hieroglyphs, the cuneiform from ancient Sumeria. He talked about this as well.
Zachariah Sitchin?
Yeah, thank you. Good. Thank you. Sitchin. Yes, Sitchin's work talks about this. Whether or not it's legit or not is interesting. There's a lot of people at Oxford and other universities that are actually discovering that a lot of what he translated was pretty close. So we have yet to see. I'm not entirely sure about that, but
yeah. So I haven't looked into it too much. I don't know.
Yeah, Sitchin's controversial, but I have yet to learn Sumerian myself, so until I do, I'm going to take all your words on it.
I have a book. You can learn it all overnight. No, just kidding.
Come on, Neuralink. Just kidding.
Frightening.
All right, now, Elkman, did you want to go over the chemistry stuff, or?
Yeah, sure.
Might as well. Oh, there we go. Sorry.
Okay, so it's going to make it a little bit dark, but we can keep it light or whatever. So I was doing research, and this one base in Canada keeps coming up for lots of testing. Like,
can you full screen it? Can you go up to the upper left? Upper left. Where your three dots are, it's like the red. Red.
I don't even see it.
Upper left.
My logo is probably blocking.
Yeah, I can.
That's okay.
No worries. Yeah.
No, it's not letting me.
Oh, good.
Oh, now it's frozen.
Oh no. Sorry.
Secretly testing carcinogens. Oh dear. Oh my.
It's frozen now. Oh,
you can, if you want to, while he gets that organized, you can just share my screen real quick. I'll just segue into it, I guess. Unless it's working. It looked like it was working.
National Post.
So yeah, what I originally wanted to talk about was like the World's Fair, but that's a very long topic. So we'll just talk about one little aspect of it. Is that they say only 2 buildings survived it. which even according to this is already wrong, because normally they don't talk about this La Rabida hospital that survived the World's Fair. This is a replica of where Christopher Columbus and his son were allegedly hiding for a few years that they built for the World's Fair, so it still survives today. But the other buildings that survive is the Museum of Art and the Congress Building are still around, so automatically this is just wrong. So there's at least 3 that we're talking about here, but what I want to talk about is the German building, because this is a good example of the books that I've been reading about the 1893 Chicago Columbian Exposition that talk about these buildings, and it describes them in ways of being permanent. So let's read a little bit of this real quick. The German building occupies a commanding position on the lakeshore southeast of Ceylon. It is the handsomest and most expensive of all foreign edifices. The plans were drawn by Johannes Radke of Berlin, architect, German government. So yeah, you can see that this is just them describing the history of it. It's 78 feet in height, crowned with this. So this is the way they basically describe all of the buildings in these books. So they will literally say specifically if it has stucco or if it's supposed to be temporary. So allegedly this building didn't survive the World's Fair, right? Only 2 buildings did, only 3 buildings did. Okay, so this is a photo on the Library of Congress website from 1906. And this in the background here, that is the German building. Here's another picture of what the German building looks like. This is from the Chicagoology website. So this is what it looked like. This is where it was. We were just looking at that Lakeshore Drive a second ago. Let's go back to that one more time. So this is that building right there. It's still around in 1906. Here's another photo of it from between 1893 and 1901. Same building. Still there, definitely permanent, definitely not temporary, definitely didn't burn down in a fire after the World Fair. And then here's just the German building, the World's Columbian Exposition, December 28th of 1913.
Still there, yeah.
So for some reason, they don't want to tell us that some of these buildings were permanent. Is there some crazy conspiracy behind it? Maybe. It's just really suspicious how they can't just simply say, yeah, the buildings were made well and they were intended to survive, but we tore them down. I don't understand why that's so hard to admit. If you
Or
think about
burn them down in a lot of cases, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean there was a fire there as well, but the plaster of Paris that they were using at this time period, it was thought to be like a permanent type of thing. It was waterproof, fireproof. There are different ways of creating it. According to the encyclopedias and the dictionaries at this time period, they literally talk about what it was made of and how it was used. It's named after a gypsum in Paris from like a surrounding area or something. So they used it to make permanent structures in Paris. So then they brought that same mixture over here to America and used it for this World's Fair. The idea that your house, which is designed to be semi-permanent right now, which is built out of a wooden frame and then covered with plaster, is somehow different than these buildings that are built from steel frames and wooden frames. And then even if it is just plaster, it's literally the same thing as the house you're living in right now. But yeah, I mean, that's just a little segue. Hopefully we can get more into the World's Fair in the future in like a full episode. And these are the first people that discovered Chicago, allegedly, and this is their memorial. We've talked about them a couple times on your channel before. Just thought this was a little interesting photo that this exists.
Yeah, we will be doing a full episode on the World's Fairs. We'll also have Lucius Aurelian channel on, and Frankie New West. We reset to hopefully he might still join us tonight. We're supposed to join, but it got a little bit too late for Frankie. And that there's just so much anomalous stuff, and especially the amount of the waterways and all the landscaping within them, and that it seems like it's castles and embassies, and potentially just it was there something more to it. It's weird.
Well, the origins of these fairs goes back at least documented to the Middle Ages, and the intention of them was for groups of people to come together in a new spot to possibly form either a permanent city for trading or just to see who has the best ideas for trading and maybe setting up like a temporary spot there, basically just deciding whether or not we're going to settle here and what products are we going to be trading. They've been around since allegedly the Middle Ages. And then even before that.
It literally does look like these trading hubs, these international trading hubs, kind of with like what would be essentially foreign embassies of like your big powers of each of the time, sort of thing.
Yeah, and China was excluded from this one pretty much, and Chinese people were actually like banned from coming to the United States during this time period, which is interesting when you think about what was going on with the West Coast and the potential that there were Chinese settlements over there. I don't know if you guys have seen the new Mind Unveiled video, and my buddy Casey has been from Golden Gate Starport Command has been looking into this as well. But it's very interesting stuff. I'm trying to see if I can find a link to the encyclopedias, but we can move on to Elfman stuff now if you guys are ready. It was just a quick little tangent. Where is it?
So
I wasn't sure, Shem, were you done with showing that? Or...
Yeah. Like I was just
Okay,
looking for something.
There we go. Sorry.
But we can move on.
Please.
yeah, sorry, I had to reset my computer. I lost everything, but all my tabs are still here, thank God. So I was researching some skull thing, and I came across Calgary, and they still use this skull.
Really?
And yeah, I'm talking. I don't want to get into that right now, but this. So basically, in a lot of my research, this fort keeps coming up in BC, and a lot of testing has happened there from the United States, basically, and Canada on its own citizens. So last night when I was looking into this, I just found a lot of stuff that I thought was really interesting. So I'm just gonna like blow through it all. But the connotations of all this stuff are pretty huge, and like I think it's all pretty close to where you're at. It's just interesting because
where I'm
I try
at.
and tie it all in together as I read it and what my thoughts are about it, because it ties into like the stone giants and kind of what like Shem was just talking about with the new Mind Unveiled video, because like a lot of the same places that they were talking about in that video that were on the western part of Canada are places where there's constant what was the best words to use, weapons testing, and it's like the exact same areas that
Had the internment camps and
they
stuff.
yeah, but this is before that even, and it all ties into like a lot of the native people's history and stories too. But I don't want to get into like what I think about it or how I'm tying it all in together. I'll just present all this stuff, and like you guys can feel free to interrupt me as I go. I don't know too much about it, but I did do a deep dive on it, so it's pretty interesting. But like, so this lady, Lisa Martino Taylor, I don't know if anyone here has watched Mr. Robot, but she is really reminds me of Angela Moss. So this lady's so this is the kind of researcher that I aspire to be. Like this lady's actually researching stuff and making changes and doing stuff with her research. So I want to shout out this lady. But so recently, about like 10 years ago was this article, 2017. So the crux of it is between July 9th, 1953 and August 1st, 1953, 6 kilograms of zinc cadmium sulfide was sprayed onto unsuspecting citizens of Winnipeg from U.S. Army planes. So unsuspecting citizens is a key word, and from Winnipeg from U.S. Army planes. The Army returned 11 years later and repeated the experiments in Suffield, Suffield, Alberta, and Medicine Hat, Alberta, according to Lisa Martino Taylor. So as you guys can see, I probably have like a ton of tabs up. So what happened was this was all testing for
unbeknownst to the public, and you said from Army planes over Winnipeg. That's wild.
Yeah, from the States. So
oh, okay.
So these chemicals were odorless, colorless, and so small they wouldn't have been visible to the naked eye. The small size of the particles may have made them more dangerous, according to the book, because of how deep they could become lodged in the human respiratory system. But when the U.S. Army returned in 1964 for tests in Alberta, a memo from the Canadian officials expressed concern that American aircraft was emitting distinctly visible emissions. So we talk about like trails from planes and all that, and like this is all just like proof that it has happened in the past. So
I wonder
it
if
could
anyone's pressed
possibly
charges.
still be happening. What they're saying is that they weren't aware that they were hazardous to people at the time. So all this is testing for so what they said they wanted to do is test how effective biological weapons could be. So what these were ultraviolet spores, and like we haven't got to the spores yet, but these were ultraviolet chemicals which they could see somehow. So they wanted to see how quickly they could spread biological warfare. But there's a lot to get into, so I just got to keep going, or else I'm just going to get stuck here. But so basically, they didn't know it was poisonous to people. They were just doing tests to see, but at the same time, it was. So
Testing
actually,
if it's poisonous. We don't know. We're just gonna test it unbeknownstly to the good old Canadians of the north of the border.
so yeah, so it was. So basically, it was radiation poisoning. Okay. So they wanted to visit Suffield to discuss it. Blah 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 blah.
Hold on a second.
so
That chemical up there that they were talking about in relation to Kim Jong Nam, that's a very, very dangerous chemical right there. The neuro,
yeah,
I forget what it's called. It's like some sort of
phosphorus 32, a
neurotoxin.
radioactive material, and VX, a nerve agent, which was recently used to assassinate Kim Jong Nam, the brother of North Korea Kim Jong Un. The U.S. was working on producing a radioactive nerve agent out of the two properties. Internal memos make note of plans to have 100 pounds of VX delivered to Suffield.
So does that mean that they were planning on spraying that over people?
Pardon me?
Does that mean that they're planning on spraying that on people?
Yeah, and they do.
Like it.
So they didn't just do it here in Winnipeg. I should share another's. Oh no, I was able to pull it up.
Yeah, that's the guy where those girls snuck up behind him in the airport and like put the chemicals on his nose, and he like died, I think, within 20 minutes or something from breathing it in. He just like died. He was just like laying on a chair in a hospital. There's a picture of him, Kim Jong Un's brother.
Yeah, I remember that. He was like traveling or something, and they got that's scary. Horrible.
So this just didn't happen there. At the same time, it happened in 33 cities throughout North America.
33.
Yeah, I have a list of them. I lost that tab, but 1 second, I can bring that up really easily.
Yeah, I'd like to see that on a map.
Right, especially since it's 33 and how they might be placed. Oh, there we go.
So this is just screenshots of me asking Copilot about it. That's what about cadmium sulfide? The U.S. military conducted tests involving zinc cadmium sulfide in various cities across the United States and Canada. Some of the cities where these tests took place include St. Louis, Minneapolis, Corpus Christi, Fort Wayne, and Winnipeg. These tests were part of a Cold War program.
So many crops.
And they
that
didn't
in that
tell me
area.
them all. So I said, what is the location of the rest of them? There's a way to bring up these again, but I can't remember how, but it also said they were conducted in Fort Wayne, St. Louis, San Francisco, Corpus Christi, Oceanside, Biltmore Beach.
Aren't there a lot of military bases in those cities?
There are now.
Oh.
Yeah. And So that's the thing too, is most of it is military testing, obviously, and a lot of it would happen in those places. But I just wanted to show those screenshots because it's hard to find information on what exactly happened in each of those places, but I did try to. But one document I'm Sharon has it all in it again. Sorry, Bern.
No worries.
We went through this one, I think. So Canada has a long history of subjecting people to questionable and dangerous experiments. During the Second World War, mustard gas tests were conducted on 3,000 volunteers at a military base in Suffield. I've done further research, and they weren't volunteers. In the 1960s, CIA experiments conducted in Quebec.
Not knowing or willing, at least.
Yeah, that's MK Ultra they're talking about here. In the second one, like the CIA experiments conducted in Quebec on unknowing subjects analyzed whether or not it was possible with the use of LSD and electroshocks to eliminate memories and build them back up. That's the main MK Ultra programming, which I don't need to bother talking about because everyone knows about it. Yeah.
Negligible
So this woman
risk
in
to the
St.
general.
Louis told the Associated Press she remembers being sprayed with a fine powder. This one's important too, because when they were all talking about this, there wasn't proof of it, but proof of it has come to light now. So this lady was saying that she remembers being sprayed with a fine powder by an airplane. She suffered from breast, thyroid, and skin and uterine cancer. Another said she was born in a St. Louis building where the powder was dispersed from the rooftops. 4 of her 11 siblings later died from cancer. So,
wow, 11 siblings all die from cancer.
So yeah, this is all
That's
from
just one
Operation
family, yeah.
LAC, which is large area coverage. So if anyone wants to learn about it, that's what this operation was called in the United States, anyways. They
Simulated
changed.
attacks.
Yeah, they changed what the chemicals were the second time they did it. This is
The fact that
interesting.
they did it is kind of sad. Yeah.
Yeah. So this talks about where the long ones. So what they're doing, guys, is blowing in invisible chemicals to see how fast they could spread.
Yeah, because like where those states were, it's almost like the way it carries the wings up there, So that's like strategic.
Yeah, like another Canadian air mass swept through and carried the particles into the Gulf of Mexico. 2 other tests, one along a path from Toledo, Ohio to Abilene, Texas, and another from Detroit to Springfield to Kansas, showed that the agents dispersed through this aerial method could achieve widespread coverage when particles were detected on both sides of the flight paths.
Almost sounds like chemtrails.
Exactly.
Dun, dun,
And then
dun.
this also sounds a lot like people were talking about like
when was this happening? In the
many trigger
60s?
words, but they were talking about the street lights being neon and they'd be able to see different colors of something very easily and skin and stuff. And this is like, I didn't think there was much credence to that, but like this is exactly that. So anyways, Operation Dew.
It's interesting that you said about the streetlights. There's a new ordinance they're trying to pass here in Oregon where they want to replace every single one of the the tube lights in buildings. These.
Yeah. Have you heard about the purple light theory of
they want to change all these in Oregon, and there's no money to replace them, so it's up to the companies to replace them.
There's all these like purple street lights that have popped up all over the country, and they said it was a malfunction, that it was like defected bulbs from China or somewhere, and it's like, but wait, why are more popping up? You know what I mean?
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, there was also a conspiracy too that those lights would be able to detect something in people and all this other stuff.
Yeah, because it's ultraviolet. It's going into the wavelength.
Also, there was a lot of them by where that January happened, the sighting in Miami of where all those cops were, and they said there was like aliens at the mall.
Oh, at the mall.
And there was all those lights outside. They're like, is this to help like make Project Bluebeam, like where you'll see things, or
right?
You know,
Blue beam, red infrared, the devils, the red blue shift, red blue light, and then what are cops lights but always red and blue? Are they the in between?
And white? Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Interesting.
And then there's another one called Operation Do, and it doesn't stand for what you think. It stands for something else, they say. But these were another ones where the tests involved the release of 250 pounds of fluorescent particles from a minesweeper off the coast. Operation Do was described in a U.S. Army report known as the Dugway Special Report 162, blah, 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 blah. Operation Do was to study the behavior of aerosol-released biological agents. So, okay.
This is what makes New Hampshire so badass, because they passed a thing that you can't spray chemtrails in their state. I think Texas was the first, but it passed like this year. So
Really?
I thought that was like revolutionary and amazing.
Come up my way. You'll see plenty.
weird.
Wow, sell tickets to see
New Hampshire.
chemtrails. Come on. Come
It's
on
weird that
down.
they're doing this while they're at war. Instead of testing it in other countries, they're testing it here. So it's really strange. You would think that they would
I like
test it
what-
over there. What they shouldn't be
Gunwoo.
testing it at all, but
Gunwoo had
Exactly.
Why?
sent me a thing
Because
about
we're
how
all
they
going to
were
experience
spraying.
it at some point. So why not test it here, figure out the end result of it, and then test it somewhere else? Yeah. Then we know what it does, and we can play problem, reaction, solution 100%.
yeah,
This document's very important because it ties. This one's been in PubMed and everything too. This is a published document that's been recognized and not conspiracy or anything like that. But it's all about the same stuff I just talked about. But as part of the test, the Army released particles of zinc, cadmium sulfide from airplanes, rooftops, and moving vehicles in 33 locations. There's your 33. Most cities and towns in the United States and Canada. So this one's important because of that 33. It's also important because it refers to this document called the Toxicologic Assessment of the Army Zinc Cadmium Sulfide Dispersion Test. So that's another one that's very important. There's also keys in here that are important too, but I don't have enough time to go over them, but that's cool.
Thank you
This
for
is my
sharing that.
favorite.
That's, wow, just reading
This
through
is
that.
my favorite
quick
document
glance, just-
I have found during this investigation. This one is Human Radiation Experiments, the Department of Energy Roadmap to the Story and Records. So this book is crazy. This roadmap summarizes the department's search for records about government conducted or sponsored Cold War human radiation experiments. The records that documented these stories are contained within 3.2 million
cubic feet.
million cubic feet of DOE records at numerous locations across the country. And you're gonna say, right, that's fucked. How are they gonna fucking 3.2 million cubic feet? How are you gonna account for all that?
It's all single sheet that's connected.
It's all accounted for
Yeah.
in this document right here. So if you had the time, I've skipped through a bunch that I thought were interesting, but
Can you put this link in the chat, or at least in our chat?
So right here, this is where they talk about it, and I was reading it. Health effects of exposure, blah blah blah. So this is each of them, volume. So the volume of this case is this case alone on this page is 1,470 cubic feet of records. And there's a summary of what happens in it right here. And there's where you can go get this. This next one,
we can't see what it's saying because it's like not zoomed in enough or something. The text is like blurry.
I can't go full page because I think it will.
Yeah, that helps at least.
Much better. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, now I can see it. Very good.
Archive.org details HRE-DOE
So
report /page/54/model mode /2up. Right.
Two up. I'll post that in the chat. I'll post that
please,
in the private
do.
chat so Bernie can post it in the main chat.
Live chat and private chat, please.
Can you share it to the
Yes, sir. I
the
can.
crypto chat because it just goes to mine and no one's watching it on there. But
wow,
yeah,
looking at this now, this is fascinating. Thank you for sharing this.
Look, man.
Seriously fascinating. Oh my God.
In the live chat now.
yeah, so these are just hundreds and hundreds. Like if I just skip into this, there's
Is there any-
pictures, and this is just remember, this is all just summarizes the department's search for records about government conducted or sponsored Cold War human radiation experiments. So this one's pretty cool. What is also cool about this one, I thought, was only 14 people have viewed this document. So I think there's a lot of information in here that could help.
Well, thank you for bringing this to the world, and we just like exponentially grew that number right now, right here.
I just viewed it.
It says
Technical-
80
technical
watching
difficulties
plus 5
tomorrow.
of us.
Technical difficulties tomorrow on the page.
Oh yeah, for sure. So everyone download it today because there will be. This has happened. I know Shem's joking, but it has happened to us before, or me, anyways.
More
So
than
this
one.
one's another one. This document too. It's only got 31 views, but this document is specifically referring to the operation I was talking about at the very beginning, where they sprayed
yeah,
in the
look at
33
that.
cities.
We need
And
to
at
download
the
this.
a while back they didn't have this. This was not available at the time. So I don't know, like I'm when I search for it, it still only has 31 views, but maybe it's posted elsewhere. Like I don't know too much about it, but I think this is another document that's like worth going over to because it gets into the nitty-gritty of it. It gets into like they had radiation fields. They set up radiation fields in grade schools to test if it would keep people out of certain areas, but they tested it on kids in schools. They set these up in American ghettos. They set up chemical they looked like air conditioners, but they blew all these chemicals that we were talking about previously into like American ghettos back in the day. And this is all the research that they have obtained from these tests. And basically it talks about everything in detail. It's not good. It's kind of crazy. So one thing with all this I want to make a point of is what here it is right here talking about the school.
Please share this link in the private as well. This is key.
Oh yeah, I'll put a link. Did I not share this one yet? But
no, you did the original.
Okay,
another one.
Yeah, just the first so far. This one's something else. It's
This
got
is-
all the technicals and everything. This is amazing, Alkman.
Good
Yeah,
find.
rip me, but whatever. Like, it's got to be shared. But yeah, so this is amazing, and it is proof that this has all happened before. And it's interesting that that's an Iron Cross there too. But whatever.
Natural aerosol generation.
Yeah, it's unbelievable that they can do this stuff, and then people have the audacity to question you for questioning the government. It's unbelievable.
Behavior of aerosol clouds with cities. Wow, are you kidding me? Crazy. All right.
Here's a topograph.
Thank you for sharing.
So it's unfortunate that at this time, these quote tests were being done on our own citizens, and the purpose of these, the reason why they picked these towns was because they said that they were the closest representations of equal towns in Russia because of the Cold War. But
Does it say what the Iron Cross represents on this by any chance? Like in a key, because that's on a lot of old maps as well in America. Exactly.
Where is it?
I think that would be the dispersal point of the.
Where are you seeing this?
Right there, on the left graph, you'll see there's an Iron Cross right there. Greek cross.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So yeah, there's all these tests out. So next time your friends tell you
I see it.
that contrails or whatever you want to talk about aren't real, you can now say they are real. They've been going on for a long time. They're killing us, and here's the proof of it. But I think I still have more to share. I don't know. Just let me think. Is there anything more important about this document? It's just unfortunate that the people they chose to test these on too, again, it's the same old.
Children too. I mean, it's unbelievable that no one's pressed charges or done anything. Not that they would likely win.
Why would they?
But yeah, I gotta get going. Shout out to the chat. Appreciate you guys for having me. Have a good night.
You too, Jim.
You too, Shem. Cheers out.
All right, thank you, Shem Jacobs, Tartarian Truth. Thank you for being with us. Appreciate that. And this is just wild, Elk Man. Like history that needs to come out, and investigations that need to happen. Like just mind blowing. Oh, Ryan, I think you're muted if you're trying to talk, brother.
I must have done that by accident.
No worries.
Yeah, there's a few other articles I tried to get that would be interesting, but I couldn't find them, and they're not in the archives anymore. Like the nerve gas test, they tested nerve gas on Canadian citizens in Quebec and stuff too. But I'll do a deeper dive on it some other time. But I was looking into a lot of this stuff because a lot of it occurs in the same locations where in Canada there is military bases, and there's huge chunks of land that look like the hills have eyes. There's all just like bomb holes everywhere and everything. So usually those are in places where they're trying to eradicate something. And in this case, I believe it was like quite possibly like the stony giant people. Like Bernie had those skulls up earlier, and the natives talk about the stony giants, but that could be a whole other thing. But these are the these are the paths in which they spread those. So that's how far they were able to travel.
That's crazy. Across the whole continent.
Yeah. Definitely mid Canada. But yeah, I think that's all I have about this today. I could go into little nitty-gritty details about it, but I think anyone who wants to research it has enough to jump off on their own. I just don't know if I missed anything. They did eventually use spores mixed with it too. But yeah, I think that's all I got.
Appreciate that, and no, that's
thank you.
To be able to,
and that's pretty close. I think that's pretty close to where you're at, Bernie. I wish I could share I wish I could
Like-
share Google Earth Pro, but it's not working for me right now. But yeah, thanks guys. Thanks for.
I
letting me share.
appreciate these links, though. Seriously, often that's
Yeah.
amazing. Thank you.
100%.
Yeah, and what I do suggest too is with those links, what I did notice yesterday, I was able. You go to the user that posted them. Yeah, this Jag 223, and they've got so. This person has a very interesting Internet Archive account. So it's got lots of very interesting.
Ooh.
Yeah,
It's a
interesting.
gold mine.
Yeah,
Seriously.
I'll share
Wow.
this link too. And
Yes, please. Sharon is Karen.
yeah, I'm diabetic, and there was one in there where they switched a bunch of diabetics insulin with like radioactive stuff and did tests on them and didn't tell them. And
Oh, fucking brilliant! Love these people.
all this wild stuff, but all the unbelievable stuff you think would be unbelievable is all probably right here in these documents. There's a lot.
Wow.
Thank you for the share. This
That
is a
needs
gold
to get
mine.
out,
Seriously.
For sure.
Yeah, and not a lot of it has very many views too. So I just hopefully someone out there can back some of it up because I don't.
Thank you, Nawal. That's interesting as well. Thank you so much. Good post there.
All the sharing. It needs to happen and come out, and
Yeah, and this one's important too. The St. Louis Dispersion Study, Volume 2. That's about the same thing we're talking about, but a whole book on just that one. Yeah, this is on there. Lots of lots of interesting stuff from like, yeah. Sorry, I'll pass the mic to somebody else.
Exactly. Shared it all in the live chat for everyone, and you said it's got like 15 or 30 views on some of them, and 100 people watching just right there. Be 1,000 by morning time, and this is Elkman's live leaks happening.
Thanks.
Well, thank you, sir. Like, this is history that needs to be documented, brought up, and hopefully some sort of accountability, at the very least, of just preventing these psychopaths from continuing to do this to us and to the general populations to this day.
You know what this reminds me of? Which, look, I don't want to say it. I'll just show you a meme that I made. Can you guys read it?
Hold on. Here we go. Yeah, right. I love it.
But this is why detoxing is so important. I mean, I preach a lot about it, but it's not hopeless, you guys. There's things that we could do we're combating something on a whole nother level, and it is spiritual. And I always say, like, your spiritual battle is like in your gut as well. But like, there's things you could do to combat this, and this is why it's so important to cleanse. And there's MSM you could take. There's DMSO and the zeolite. Like, but this is why it's so important. And a lot of people like don't want to do it. But it's like, do you want to feel amazing? We get so used to feeling so sluggish, or our brains being clouded, or the lack of focus. And we've adapted to it. So when you start to cleanse, you start to see an increase in your performance and your sharpness and a lot of things that you're like, oh my gosh, how did I function like that for so long? Or why did I dread doing that? Like, you feel better completely. Yeah. And cilantro is gets rid of heavy metals as well. That helps out a lot. Get like the drops of it.
And helps the heart. That's another huge thing with cilantro. It's a heart additive. So.
And you're going to want to use a binder like psyllium husk, or the diatomaceous earth, the food grade. Make sure you get the food grade, and take that. That definitely helps. But we're definitely needing to to cleanse pretty aggressively because of what we're combating. I mean, what's being put in the soil and what we're being sprayed with.
And our water.
Nice.
Yes, and the water.
The water, the air, everywhere. Our food, it's crazy. And even the waves, the energy waves, the Wi-Fi, the 5G, and it's coming at us from every dimension you can think of, every vector possible. We're being attacked.
And I just feel like it's getting you to connect psychically to like another field. Like I said, I speak of that, of like AI becoming like a new god, right? And connecting to that. But like, it seems like all these things, the blocking of the sun and this and that is like trying to prevent you from connecting to your higher power, like from connecting to source.
Bingo. Yep.
Bingo indeed, actually. Just gave me a flashback to an out-of-body experience I had last summer when I was a little bit sleep deprived and overheat exhausted, but it was like right before I blacked out. It was like this, I was staring at the sun and it was like trying to connect to this higher consciousness, and this other like entity like entered my mind and was like, I need to connect to source, and was like trying to like get out to the sun somehow, and like had this message of like desperation of like preventing this like reset of life because it's going to be an extinction of all life. It was the strangest thing.
I have a theory about like parasites and heavy metals, that when you're so inundated with it, that things are able to enter you, more access, whether you want to call them demons, disembodied humans,
archons.
Yeah, like that energy is more able to enter you that way. So even more important to, it's almost like, like inducing.
So think about the sun gazing cults. I mean, we don't need to go the breatharian, but the whole going to the sunset session, the time of Aten, where you're looking into the sun as it's setting, and you have this. It's an interesting aspect. Sunset gazing is really magical. And so you look at the ancient Egyptians. We were talking about this earlier, and you have Akhenaten. He was Amenhotep the third or fourth. Well, Amun-hotep is it means the Hotep is it's like an altar. So Amun-hotep is the altar to the dark, and he changed his name to become the key of the enlightened light, which is Akhenaten. So. Here we have this, transformation from darkness to light, and as Julia was saying, it's like, oh my God! All of a sudden, the sun is super important, and we should look at the sun as super important because it guides a lot of what we do from day to day, all day long.
Literally, the start to end, pretty much your routine each day, and it is the life energy as well of all life. Feeds everything that grows and lives. Without the sun, we'd be screwed. And what does it mean if it's white now instead of yellow?
Have any of you seen Dune Part 2?
Is that out already? No.
Oh yeah. So there's spoiler alert. There's a scene where they discuss the black sun of Gedi Prime.
Continue.
And when you go out into the light of the black sun, you're in a black and white environment. That was a very interesting approach and aspect that Denis Villeneuve did for his movie to depict the black sun, which is also known as Saturn. Getting into symbology.
Right? Like, there's something to that dark star, dark sun, and Saturn, and all of it. And maybe we just have to look at it in a different bandwidth of light waves or something. Radiation.
Maybe this has to do with alchemy. All right, okay. So hear me out here. You're into alchemy. I'm not, but I'm looking at this from an outside perspective. Maybe the dark sun is the flame that ignites the plasma versus the flame that ignites the fire, because the plasma is huge in alchemy. And so what ignites plasma? We don't ever see it. We just, flip the switch and there it is. Plasma. Woo! But
The
what
inner
is
ignition.
what is the spark that ignites that? Is that the dark fire or the dark sun, right?
Dark, the heavy, and it's implosion. It's implosive, it's endothermic, it's inside, and it's going into the micro versus the macro. And that's very good point and thought there, Hans. I like that.
From an outside perspective, that's that's kind of how I look at it. It's like there's some other energy that sparks plasma, because plasma, like as you have there in your Tesla coil tube next to you, has a very different, exactly, and it attracts to you and your electromagnetics, has a very different energy. That's plasma, though we don't really realize that is a plasma energy inside of that tube.
Does yours change color during Aurora Borealis, Bernie?
I have yet to notice that. There hasn't been I wasn't home during the last Aurora, but I'm gonna have to actually make a point to check that out on the next flare, because I have heard about that.
Yeah, the purpley, like I have a purpley blue colored one, and I'm not close enough, but it does change color, and if you are close enough, they can turn green.
Interesting.
Apparently, yeah.
That's wild.
My uncle had two in a table, and you go lay in the basement room, his healing room, and it was like all light therapy. It was so amazing. I miss that. I miss my uncle. He had some pretty cool technology.
Yeah. I used to do electroplating too for a big car company, and
large scale electrolysis.
Yeah.
Seriously, wow.
One could figure out the Tesla coil thing, and it would be basically every Aurora Borealis, the machine
arc reactor,
yeah.
How is yours? One like monochromatic there, Mr. Bernay.
Say again.
Yours is like it's like a yellow green, and it's like a lime green.
The white monoatomic, or
no, your Tesla
Tesla
lamp.
stuff. I'm not sure. It came from Poland.
Interesting.
I
have one that's in the shape of a lava lamp, and the main light is blue, but then the others are like these obvious like fingers of plasma that are trying to reach the outer core. It's fascinating to watch. I've always been fascinated with Tesla.
I think it's important too to see like they're putting fluoride in the water, and all these things is trying to prevent you from accessing your pineal, like from tapping into your powers and utilizing it. So what you want to combat this, do things to help activate that, do things to cleanse, to keep that connection solid and stronger. And so for me, that's like, you got to get into this like warrior mindset. That's like, I'm not going to allow this, because a lot of people they want you to feel like there's nothing I could do. I'm being sprayed. It's in everything. I can't avoid it. Like I'm just going to become an alcoholic or do drugs and say to heck with it. Cause like, well, is it a battle for souls? Is it trying to prevent you from ascending? Like when you start to look at the bigger picture of like, wow, this is really important. Why would anyone want to stop that? But I just feel like there's cosmic laws being broken. Like, how is this authorized? How could you put this into the water? Like, how can you cut off water sources and then control
doing it to ourselves? That right? We're like
by handing it, by being like, there's nothing we can do about this. Like, oh, we'll just here you go.
Fluoride is a byproduct of the nuclear industry, and it's illegal to dump wastewater into water systems. So they developed a way of converting it into a byproduct of the dental industry so that it then could naturally be added into the water system fluoride in your water, chlorine in your water, all this stuff. And it's mind blowing that this even happened, but this is how it went down, and now we're living the results of that. 40 years, 50 years later.
Right.
Yeah, didn't they use it in like concentration camps? Was it in like a Nazi thing? Like they were trying to give it.
So when you're in your shower and you're in an enclosed environment and there is a fluoride chlorine vapor coming at you, yeah, that's what Julia's talking about. That's what was used in the camps, unfortunately.
And it's a neurotoxin, correct?
Yeah. And so we're inhaling that every time we have a shower.
This is why filters are so important. Hey, Hans, you want to tell them what filters are really good?
So, there's MultiPure. MultiPure is an amazing filter on the market. I'm trying to remember the one that you posted about, Julia. That also is super amazing. It's like a three filtration system.
Oh, that water machine is amazing.
Yes, super amazing.
Because there's a lot of people that
amazing machines out there, but this one seems very tough. MultiPure is pretty amazing. If you want like a shower unit, there is a.
It's called a Spring Aqua. It's a Spring Aqua Wet 7, and it's a water machine.
Correct.
And it's complete filtration, and it creates coherent crystalline structure. It ionizes with weak, broad spectrum geomagnetic fields, and it adds 26 trace minerals. And it's got a 15-year warranty. It's amazing. So
I'm gonna have to look into that.
Yeah,
I definitely recommend that over any like alkaline, like any Kangen machine. Especially because of their filters.
Yeah,
but if you can get spring water,
the one that shows like where it zaps, it's actually electrically charged. That's pretty crazy. But I haven't personally tested, seen, or experienced any of them, or looked into any of them enough to recommend. I just guinea pig myself.
Where people could start is a filter, and even Dan Winters has like a really cool one that, like he has one that like structures it and has like a magnet in it and that he 3D printed. But definitely like if you could get just a filter, like what Hans was recommending, that could like a great place to start. And if you have a spring, I think you go to findaspring.com, and if you can get spot or make a trek of it, like, if it's a couple hours away, like try to go and get as much as you can. But
seriously, yeah.
Yeah, spring water from the earth. Yeah.
Is key. It's very structured. It flows through the rock formations.
Oh, yeah.
This is the most amazing thing. Where I live in Portland, we have like, Mount Hood has Bull Run that comes into Portland, but they've changed this recently. And now it's all these like left, right tubing systems, and they're trying to fluorinate and chlorinate the water, because we've had such an impulse of people moving here. And it's like, oh my God, we're losing our natural water system coming out of Bull Run for this toxic BS. And it's sad. It's why? It's right there. It comes to Mount Tabor near where I live, and for the last 3 years, Mount Tabor has been empty, as has the other. There's one near the zoo, Washington Park, that is the other huge water reservoir, and they built another one off of I-205 South, and they're all empty. And it's like, why? Because they're siphoning them into other reservoirs so they can chlorinate the water, and it's really sad. It's super sad.
Well, it has to do with our consciousness, the way we talk to water, the way we treat water. I mean, most of us, what is our relationship with it? A lot of people will just, urinate in it, defecate in it, flush it. Like, the water has to do with our consciousness and what we ingest, and it's structured, and you could, we're made of it. It's everywhere, and there's a spiritual component to it, and the way you treat it. And I always recommend to pray over your water every time.
Yes.
it makes a world of a difference. It really does.
Well, even if you do breath work with your water, you can actually structure it at a minute level. You can start structuring the water through the vibration of breath work, and so this is
and
super
even through
magical.
intent and music, the Max Moto, right? But what it comes down to is water is so key, and if you can't afford a treatment or to make your own yet, you can go out to your mountain hill springs and get that primary water and get some exercise, connect to nature.
Bingo.
And like that's the biggest thing you can possibly do for a positive change or a great day in your life, right?
Absolutely.
Just connects us back to this planet. Yes. We're so distracted and disconnected from all this through the sorcery of technology, the sorcery of, our desks and our chairs and our doors and our walls. And it's like we tear down nature to rebuild it for our own purpose. It's like, why can't we just go be one with what we are around?
That's why I encourage people. I encourage people to come up with water inventions, like any kind of water filtration systems or inventions or any type of solutions with cleansing or, cleaning the air, because we're coming into times where that's going to be pivotal, just like with the toilet to tap. It there's a lot of opportunity. They passed toilet to tap.
Describe that, Julia, because this is California. God. Oh my God!
I have to give a quick disclaimer to the question.
That is I'm just kidding.
Of drinking water from copper, and you have to be careful because if it turns blue and it's oxidized copper, then you're actually getting toxic water and poisonous water. But simultaneously, you can use this sort of water and the copper oxide for spraying to disinfect things extremely well, and that is the best way you can, I think.
Thanks for bringing this up, because when people buy their copper water bottles and their copper cups, this is not expressed to them at all. It's like if you let that thing go green or start to oxidize, you're potentially poisoning yourself every time you're drinking from that cup.
Big time.
Yeah, they don't express this at all. Yeah,
they're like, but my Moscow mules.
The cup's green on the inside, but it looks good. No.
They would store, like the Egyptians, right? Or like they would store their water in copper to keep it disinfected.
Yeah, for sure.
Like massive amounts.
Yes.
But I noticed too, I can't have more than one glass out of copper. I used to have a copper canister and I was just drinking out of it.
The question is, where did all the copper come from in Egypt?
And is it the missing Canadian copper?
Yeah.
Bingo. Most of the Phoenician and Egyptian copper came from the east coast of Canada and the United States.
I feel like you should say that in a Seinfeld voice. What is the deal with all of
what is the deal with all
the copper? They got it from Arizona.
So real quick, this video that we've been playing in the background, that's the Canadian government pouring rotenone into the water to kill all the fish.
What?
Yeah. So if you look up the word rotenone, Rotenone, and Canada, that's all you really need to do. They say they did it.
You got the guys in the white suits and the military hanging out behind them. Make sure you do this, damn it.
And then you gotta just a guy trying to stop him in a canoe, and he's telling them all off. It's pretty amazing video, but
wow.
They said they were doing it to save the salmon, but it ended up killing everything. And they kept doing it, and it's called they're doing it all on Indian reserves too. So it's basically environmental. They're making it so that the native peoples can't live off their own land anymore, because that's the only places where these things are happening. But
That is such a spiritual war right there of like on indigenous land with the water. Water is very symbolic
Crimes against
of God,
humanity.
a God source, what we're made of. Like that is wrong on so many levels.
well, yeah,
Hmm.
and all the farmland around there is becoming infertile too. So it's basically making it almost impossible for people to live the way that they're used to living in these spots, because they did rely on all their like fishing
Right,
for
they lived
food
off
and
the land.
agriculture, because they're out in the middle of like Nova Scotia. There's not much where they're at. So yeah. Anyways,
Well,
it's
there's
quite a whole
plenty to live off the land when they just take what they need and only need what they take, sort of thing, where this is literally killing an entire ecosystem, genocidal ecocide, is that what it's called?
I couldn't remember it earlier. I can't remember what it's called either.
Just like with all those remember all those train like explosions, and it was all by water sources where it goes into many different areas, but like right at the hub of all those water sources is where those chemicals just happen to explode in trains. And then remember it was like raining like the chemical and like snowflakes of it. But I always felt like they were after
East
the water systems.
Palestine. Yeah.
This is where all the copper in Egypt comes from. Right here.
Yep.
I was just looking up like the largest mine in the world in Chile. They expanded their operation.
And is that one a strip mine, if I'm correct, or no? Yeah, in Chile, yeah. Oh God,
There better be some pole dancing at that strip.
I wonder why
mine.
they would get. Like, I'm just wondering why they would get their copper from here and not Chile, like in Egypt. Must be
'Cause
some
there isn't-
inner Earth
there
This
isn't
is
magnet.
right on the
copper.
surface.
There isn't copper in Egypt. So
No, I mean why they wouldn't get it from Chile, like for
good point.
transporting it from there.
They might not have had a trade with them, but why they say it was from here was because it was right on the surface and they didn't have to mine it. They could just find it on the ground everywhere, because it was from a big
massive
copper
deposit.
asteroid or comet. Or
you also got to look at the trade currents and the trade winds, and this is a huge problem.
Way closer.
It's easier.
Well, yeah, it's by water too. You don't have to go through the land. It's easier to just get a whole bunch of it through water, like loading up from there, not additionally going too far inland.
Exactly. Right off the Great Lakes. And then that kind of leads into, because the copper mine and silver mine, I believe, on the Great Lakes, the indigenous one is like dated to be several thousand years old and recognized, but then it's all what was mined from it is missing and was never accounted for. Is that correct, Alkman? You know?
I don't know. I just know this is where it all comes from. There's a lot of history with this island in particular.
Wendigo, huh? we all know what Wendigos are. Spirit creatures, right?
Yeah, the screaming spirit creatures.
That's
and like
the name of the
Amethyst
island.
Harbor, there's a lot that I've researched around these parts, but I can't. It's been so long since
Hey, what's going on with that teardrop? That's interesting.
That is out of place and interesting, hey? Like on Wendigo Island.
There's islands. But yeah. Apparently a big copper.
They're so tiny
meteor
compared
crash
to Wendigo. Wendigo is like ridiculously huge, and where the mine is, that's
Quit showing off where I live, man. Go away from there.
If there was ever an
Gotta be
island
amazing to have
in North
some
America
space.
that would have an entrance to inner Earth, I would suspect it would be the old copper mines of the island called Wendigo.
Oh, I found that too doing the research this yesterday. It's right here, right near you. It's a fort and a harbor on Vancouver Island.
I'm going out there hopefully this
Father
summer.
used-
H, I think.
Yeah, Victoria's beautiful. If you've never been, Victoria's one of the most amazing, beautiful places.
Oh, I'm
And
going
the
back this summer.
Buchart Gardens, super beautiful. Yeah. My grandfather used to own a piece of property in one of the inlets on Vancouver Island. He owned one of these small islands. It was about a mile across, called Turret.
Hans?
The big fort here.
Canadian government took back over. And I've never been there. My cousins went there every summer, and I always wanted to go with them, and we were never invited. So
We need to take Hans to Turret Island one day.
yeah, I'd love to go. Not very big. It's in the inlet, like third of the way up Vancouver Island forever. Yeah. It's like the furthest
Oh,
island
what
out.
is this? Iroquois Trail of Footprints by Cox.
Anyways, there's
Or
on
Vancouver. Hey,
Island,
that's
there's a
where
military
I'm
base,
at.
and that's where the submarines go underground. They talk about it. I can't remember.
Fort Vancouver is 3 miles north of me.
Where do they go underground? Did you say, Elkman?
I'll find it in a second. 'Cause they
Anything
tested
underground? I'm
Come
like,
on.
what?
They
what?
come
What?
up the Columbia River. There's all sorts of underground stuff in the Columbia River. Yeah.
It's something
Alright.
harbor. It's on something harbor.
Vancouver, USA. That's literally
Always.
right across the Columbia River from me.
Really? Hans has to be careful of the underground.
So
stuff?
the Californians drive north, they get to Portland, and they cross the Columbia River, and they're like, "Oh, Vancouver, we've made it to Canada." And it's like, no,
No, this is American Vancouver.
this is the other Vancouver. But yeah, Fort Vancouver is kind of a cool spot, actually. Been there when I was a kid.
Right? I think it's a Star Fort.
Yeah,
Or
it's right on the
Bastion
river.
Fort.
Yeah. Yep.
I'll find it and bring it up in a second while I'm not presenting the screen.
Oh, yeah.
24/7
Hey,
asked you,
submarine.
Bernie, if you were going to Vancouver Island, and did you get a hold of Kevin Hay?
I have yet to get a hold of Kevin Day yet. Yes, I need to get. But I got your message on my messenger. Now I just have to open it on my right phone that it actually works on to be able to like click the link and then get the link to Kevin. Anyways, but I'm going out there in a few months' time, so I still have time to connect it all. And yeah, Kevin Hay. It does Vancouver Island Ormus, and he
Really?
has
All right. Yeah.
really good results for over like a decade now, and someone I need to get a hold of and have on the show too.
I'm curious if that's who I bought my Armis off of. I think he was on Vancouver Island. Interesting. Once upon an Armis adventure. Yeah.
If it was called Vancouver Island Ormus, then it was most likely his.
I don't remember. This was years, like 6 years ago.
Fair
I
enough.
always, every time I see your other window, I'm like, oh God, man, you got some amazing stuff going there. My friend in New Zealand, he makes Ormus, and I've watched him. He's gotten younger in age. My friend Jason, he was in my photo bashing the stone at the Aswan Quarry earlier, and he now has darker hair than he had before. So
Darker
yeah,
face.
Yeah, no, his hair is darkened. His wrinkles
think,
are
I
going
think gray
away.
hair is a
He looks
deficiency.
he looks like 5 years younger than he did, and it's like, holy shit, dude. He's like, yeah, this is just me and I'm doing Ormus. I'm making my own. And really fascinating. Sorry, what, Julia?
Gray hair is a deficiency. I forget what it's deficient in, but it's easily corrected.
It's a liver. It's liver.
Oh, I was unaware of that.
I had people that when I grew up in Nepal in high school had white and gray hair, and it's like, you're 20 years old. What's going on? It's a liver enzyme deficiency.
That doesn't sound fun.
No, our livers are complex and simple. We need to treat them right and do the right things with them. So liver detoxes.
Liver
always
detox.
the
Andreas Moritz has the best liver detox ever. You could do it yourself. It's easy.
Do it every new moon, so you're not bombarding the moon's energy. And yeah, amazing. Make sure you fast a couple days before or a day before.
I always say
Water
to start
fast
the
or juice
parasite
fast.
like a day before. A day before
Yeah, that's also
the
helpful.
full moon, and then you bomb them. It's
Oh,
like the
the full
military
moon.
general in
What?
me. Yeah, full moon. That's when they come out to party. So they're like throwing a
Parasite.
rave.
Oh yeah, for parasite.
Thank you,
Yeah, for
John.
That's
parasite.
funny you said it, because the Portuguese man of war comes out on the leeward side of islands on the full moon. I've been stung by a Portuguese man of war. I know this, and they're weird critters, and they're a parasitic colonial organism, and yeah, could be alien. We don't know how they breed or where they come from. They just show up.
Definitely parasitic.
Yeah, look into Portuguese man of war. Very, very fascinating organisms. Don't get stung by one. It's not a pleasant experience. Yeah.
So the entrance to Inner Earth is somewhere around here in Nanoose Bay.
It's past the stork. Wait, go back.
Nanoose Bay.
Do you know of it, Bernie?
Where is Nanoose Bay?
I'll zoom out in a second.
Oh, okay. That's about okay, right by Nanaimo, in Nanaimo. I got family there. All right, we're going to Nanoose Bay this summer.
Yeah, that's all I know of it.
Well,
What made you What made you think it? What made you think in Nanoose?
So when I was doing my research yesterday, this is where I started off looking where they used to drop bombs in Canada, and it was all at the same fort where they gassed the people and everything over to the east a little bit from here. But this is where they tested all the bombs, was on this island. America, the United States blew a bunch of this stuff up right here in the Nanoose Bay, and then it became a fort for the Navy, and it's important because there's somewhere where they can put their subs underground here, and that's why Nanoose Bay is important. And also it's important because all these places where they test all these military weapons, there was always ancient civilizations in the direct
right. They're always
area.
blowing
It
up
probably goes deeper within the earth
stuff as well, like Laos,
Yep.
Vietnam, Cambodia, Myanmar.
All the Hawaiian islands that nobody knows about. Oh, we only see 7 of them. There's like 250 Hawaiian islands, and most of them have been biologically or nuclearly tested on. And so it's like,
yeah.
Yeah, it seems to be over resources, like key resources, to mine, or the deeper the access below Earth, because there's so many things like that have access, but the ones with the deeper access, I probably gets more toyed with.
I'm gonna have to go to Nanoose Bay this summer because, well, I got family in Nanaimo, And I guess we're at 2-hour mark. We should probably wrap it up tonight because we got another earlier one tomorrow night.
Amazing with
Amazing.
Walter Bosley and folks.
Yeah, Walter Bosley and Malia tomorrow, 7
sweet.
p.m.
Wow, all right.
Pacific. And Malia also does remote viewing, and just the experiences she's shared and the parallels.
That's Walter's partner, right?
Yeah, that's Walter's partner, and it's gonna be a wild one. So
I'm excited. I love Walter. I've reached out to him many times on Facebook, and I'm looking forward to this. I haven't had a lot of time myself to actually do a podcast with him. I've wanted to, and he gave me some amazing dates to do it. I just fell through with it. So I appreciate you putting this together, Bernie. And
Awesome.
yeah.
no worries. It's meant to happen, and we're.
Hans, did you just ring a bell?
I did.
Yes, I need one. He's like, thank you very much.
One more gallon. Beautiful.
All right. Well, we will see you all back here then, and maybe Hans, Julia, if you want to stick around, and we'll talk a little bit after. And
Okay.
I'll talk.
Sure, why not?
Have a good night, everyone.
Awesome.
Thank you for being
Thanks, everybody.
here.
Awesome questions. And
Thanks for having me,
yeah,
everybody.
thanks so much.
Thank you for your presentation,
Thanks, Alvin.
Oakman.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Thank you for that info. Much love.
Super brilliant. Thanks. That's good research. And
Everyone go detox.
we need more research like that, and everybody needs to detox. Yes. Thank you.
All right.